Hey, everybody, welcome in. It's Don and Steve, My Talk 1071, Everything Entertainment. It is the Friday edition of the show. We've got Rocco in now for the last 2 hours of the show. DJ Rock Lobster, clicking and clacking. Brittany is in for Donna Valentine. We'll get to some music news here in a moment. I'm going to read the full statement that I just now see from Mike Richards. So the news, if you're just tuning in, is Mike Richards, who was just announced last week as the new host, the heir apparent to Alex Trebek on Jeopardy. There were some scandals that came out right before he was announced. And then earlier this week, there were some more comments from previous podcasts that came out. So the interesting thing was I had seen just earlier this morning that he had said, look, those were some dumb things from a decade ago, and I took those podcasts down, and I've learned a lot, and, you know, offering some form of an apology for that. I thought it would just sort of get, okay, we did that, and now we'll just keep on moving.
Yeah.
And then CNN has trending on Twitter now, too, that he has stepped down. So here is what a memo apparently from Mike Richards said. I'm reading this cold, by the way. Dear team, it pains me that these past incidents and comments have cast such a shadow on Jeopardy as we look to start a new chapter. This seems to be an internal memo that was leaked. As I mentioned last week, I was deeply honored to be asked to host the syndicated show and was thrilled by the opportunity to expand my role. However, over the last several days, it has become clear that moving forward as host would be too much of a distraction for our fans and not the right move for the show. As such, I will be stepping down as host effective immediately. As a result, we will be canceling production today. SPT, Sony Pictures Television, will now resume the search for a permanent syndicated host. In the meantime, we will be bringing back guest hosts to continue production for the new season, details of which will be announced next week. I want to apologize to each of you for the unwanted negative attention that has come to Jeopardy over the last few weeks and for the confusion and delays that this is now causing. I know I have a lot of work to do to regain your trust and your confidence, from Mike. You know, it's funny. So Mike Richards has a tie to Hubbard Broadcasting in that Hubbard Broadcasting owns an entertainment station called Reels. And in its infancy, it was a movie lovers network. So when that channel, which is still on the air, just now it's not Reels channel, it's Reels. Now it's like Hollywood Crime. When that channel first went on the air, Mike Richards was the first face that you saw, voice that you heard. Mm-hmm. And so there was this connection, and it was like, wow, this is crazy that a guy, and then I worked at Reels before I came here and ended up hosting the show that he hosted, essentially, another version of it down the line. And so it was just so crazy to think, wow, to go from Reels and then on to executive producing The Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal, and then becomes the EP of Jeopardy, and then becomes the host. Just yesterday, I was talking with someone about, maybe it was on the show, I forget. Is he having these moments where he just was sitting back, calling up friends and just like, I cannot believe, sure, I've had a ton of success, but now I am the host of one of the most popular institutions in television history. Yeah. Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune are just so much a part of the rhythm of people's evenings. Mm-hmm. And so I was wondering if he was having these surreal moments of, I just cannot believe that this happened. Name drop. I had a now defunct podcast called Interviews with Awesome People like 7 years ago. And I reached out to him and we had a lovely interview. By the way, my podcast is not the one in question. Just let me clarify that. But he was really, really generous with his time and was really open and talking about how he studied under Dick Clark because he worked at Dick Clark Productions. So I was just thinking about this, the surreal life that he must be living up to this point. And I guess I'm just so fascinated by sudden changes in someone's life, for better or worse. And I then so deeply start to think, what does that feel like? Because now he goes from the highest of highs last week, named the host of Jeopardy, the heir apparent to Alex Trebek, to 1 week later having to step down as the host of Jeopardy. And it sounds, as you read the memo, like he's hoping to hang on to his role as executive producer.
Well, doesn't it also sound like they were nice to him, like they must like him because they're letting it look like he didn't get fired, but in reality, that was just how they're letting him perceive it?
I would doubt that he went to them and said, hey, I should step down. Yeah. I'm sure that there are a lot of conversations with a lot of brass saying, you can't do this.
It would be better for us and for you to make it look like you stepped down. Also, question, do you think that there's more out there And they're just knowing that because what he did was bad and terrible. But you're right. There's a part of me that's like, this could be an I'm sorry, or maybe just because it came out staggered. Mm-hmm. They're like, what else is going to come down the pipeline?
Sure.
Or is it because they're trying to save the brand and they've been dealing with so much bad publicity that they're just getting ahead of it?
It's a good question. The lawsuit, he was involved in a lawsuit in 2010 at The Price is Right about allegedly some disparaging comments that he made toward one of the, for lack of a better term, the Barker's beauties.
Yeah.
And this model ended up getting pregnant with twins, and he was alleged to have said, I fire 5 models and the one that I keep gets pregnant, because it was then a problem for him.
Yeah, cool thing to say, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So this really stupid thing. So that lawsuit was already out. The reason that I bring that up is Sony Pictures Television already knew about that. That's a public lawsuit that happened right there in Los Angeles. So they knew about that. The podcast comments, I'd have to go through them again to really understand exactly what he was saying. But yeah, some off-color things and jokes that he was making.
Yeah.
And apparently some history of disparaging comments made toward women or about women's bodies, etc. I guess now you wonder, and you should be able to pass this test, but it's almost like in politics where they just do their due diligence. And instead of it being the competitor, so if you're a Democrat, the Republican team is like, dig up any dirt, vice versa. If you're a Republican, but now it seems to be just the public. The public is like, is there anything out there that we can find about that person that would make them, from a PR standpoint, seem unfit for a position?
Yeah, I think there's something to that, and it kind of depends on your dirt, right? Like, I can't wait till I get famous enough when my nudes come back to me from my 20s. That's going to be great for me because I'm going to want those. But, that's the extent you can go for me. So it's interesting. I have a feeling there's more on this guy if he was talking so freely. And you know better than anybody, is that radio and TV are different. Mm-hmm. TV wants you to be a certain way. They don't, the opinions and things like that are not as excited, they're not excited for you to go out and say everything all the time, always. And so I think it is interesting that when you're climbing those ladders, they are different. But there will be more to this story. It's blowing up on Twitter. Everybody is talking about this. Again, if you're just tuning in, Mike Richards, who was just announced as the new host, the heir apparent to Alex Trebek on Jeopardy, amid some offensive remarks and misogynistic comments that he had made in his past, has now quit as host of Jeopardy. And it sounds like he is hoping to maintain his role as executive producer, stay in the family. Then I just think, too, look, if everything that he said is true, you don't want to attempt to excuse that in any way. I just find myself always putting myself in the position of these people who have this high, and then suddenly something goes away from them. Yeah. How
difficult that will be on a personal level for him to, when do you shake that feeling of, I could have been the host? Yeah. Is it in 2 years? Is it in 5 years? Are you still with the show in 10 years, talking to the host that day who is making gobs more money than you are, has the fame and the platform, and you're still behind the scenes? That's a tough thing to walk out.
If we've learned anything from these falls is, first off, everybody loves a redemption story. Right. Also, he's a guy in media. He'll be fine. He'll get some other job and be appreciative that he wasn't stuck in the same rigmarole of Jeopardy.
Sure.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
I think he's going to be okay.
I was just asking.
I think he's going to be all right.
Well, here's what we're going to do. Since we got that breaking news that just hit the old Twitter, we are going to do, it's Friday. There's a lot of new music out. So we got to go to break now. When we come back, we will listen to the latest song out. It's called Mood Ring by Lorde. Plus, we'll get the dirty details on Donda from Kanye. Is that thing really coming out? We'll get into the beat when we come back on Donna and Steve. Back. It is Donna and Steve on My Talk 107.1, Everything Entertainment. Brittany is filling in for Donna today. Brittany, we're halfway home. How would you rate your experience so far from 1 to 3?
2.8. You could do better, so get there.
Well, we had breaking news. It just kind of threw us off.
I know. The breaking news is about Mike Richards, who was named the host of Jeopardy, the heir apparent to Alex Trebek, who has now stepped down after all sorts of allegations came out regarding a bunch of misogynistic stuff that he has said on podcasts. A podcast that he hosted called The Random Show, RANDUMB, from 2013 to 2014. I am only like a third of the way through an article on The Ringer, which is sort of the article in question that brought a lot of this stuff to light. So I'm trying to figure out some more of that stuff during commercial breaks. But that is the latest. You can always make sure that you are signed up for alerts, by the way, through the MyTalk app. And then we'll get those sent over to you when any kind of news breaks in Hollywood that we think you would want to know about. So make sure that you do that. Let's see here. Do we have a caller, Raquel?
We do.
Oh, how wonderful. Why don't we officially begin the proceedings?
It goes a little something like this.
Time to go to college.
It's time to attend the College of Pop Culture Knowledge.
It's like quiz ball.
3 trivia questions to find out who's smarter. Brittany.
Donna's a smart one.
Or Steve.
His brain ain't right, but it's fun.
And here's your host, Rocco.
I want to see how smart you are.
Okay, Brittany, as you might have heard, I've lost track of the score again. Nobody knows what the score is. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Except for Donna. Here's the deal. Did you guys even know this? It's National Radio Day.
I live for it.
Yes, it is National Radio Day. Isn't this exciting?
Happy National Radio Day to both of you.
How are you celebrating?
By being on the radio.
Okay.
So, you know who else is going to be on the radio?
Who that?
Stillwater Steve.
Oh, Stillwater Steve in the building. What's up, Playboy?
In the house. How you doing?
Yeah, ponies.
Yeah, go ponies.
STILH2OO. Steve, you sound quite fit.
Okay, don't do this. Listen, Steve's already going to go with you because he always goes with Donna because they have some sort of a bond. I think it's because they're both like old. And so anyway, we'll let Rocco say the topic again, and then Stillwater Steve can confirm his choice.
It's National Radio Day. I picked some television shows that have something to do with radio, and I'm going to ask you some questions about them. So, Stillwater Steve, who do you think knows more about TV shows about radio? Brittany or Steve?
I'm going to go with Brittany.
Yeah.
Steve, what the bleep, man? We could have done something.
I know, but 2 brains like ours, 2 Steve brains together is toxic.
It
Yeah.
really is toxic.
That's true. All right, I got to go.
Bye.
Okay, Steve's leaving the room. Brittany's here.
You going to Nelson's ever, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They got big cones.
Big cones. Way too much for one person.
Are you from Stillwater, Brittany?
I am.
Nice.
Yeah, we lived there for quite a bit of time, but I didn't go to the high school. I went to the junior high.
Gotcha. I went to Woodbury.
All right.
Ooh.
We played Stillwater a bit
Yeah.
in the early days, and then I think they changed conferences and they never saw each other again. But it was fun while it lasted.
It was.
Okay, here's the deal, Brittany. I'm going to pot down Stillwater Steve. That's radio term for National Radio Day.
You're so
Thank you.
killing it.
Thank you, Brittany.
Behind the scenes, a little glimpse, people.
Yes, I potted him down.
I'm so nervous. All right, let's do
Okay,
this.
so are you ready? I'm going to ask you 3 questions
I'm ready.
about television shows having something to do with radio. Here's the first one. News radio was on NBC from 95 to 99. It had an ensemble cast of some pretty big stars. But can you name an actor that was an on-air talent on the news radio program? Do you understand the question?
Yes.
Okay, like which one of those people that were in the show were an on-air person? Here comes the timer.
Oh, I can only remember the engineer who now has his own radio show. I'd pass.
Okay. What sexy Minnesota native was a breakout star of WKRP in Cincinnati?
What's
From Roseville, by the way.
I don't know. Paul Douglas.
Okay, and what was the name of Frasier's producer on KACL in Seattle?
Not Elaine. Her name is Diane. No, it's
Okay, Stillwater Steve.
Steve, help me.
I'm potting him up. Stillwater Steve. Brittany was kind of drowning there.
Yeah, we need some air chambers. Let's go with Lonnie Anderson for number 2.
That's good. Okay, news radio.
also. Do I think Paul Douglas is hot? I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Uh,
And female. Could be.
Actually, I did not say
No,
female.
she
I
just
just
said
said what
sexy,
Minnesota
yeah.
native. So.
yeah.
Oh.
Paul Douglas, holler.
So the first one, news radio, had a bunch of stars on it, but which ones were on-air talents on the show? There was maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I picked.
I have no idea.
Okay. And then how about Frasier? He had a producer, kind of had the same role that I do, pushing the buttons, talking behind the scenes. What was the name of Frasier's producer on KACL?
Never watched it.
No. It's
For the first one, let's go with
He's Googling.
whatever.
Okay.
Quivers.
Robin Quivers, yep. Okay. Well, I'm potting down Stillwater Steve. I'm going to go duck my head out the... You talk for a second, Brittany.
all right. Well, I feel really bad about the Frasier thing. I feel like I can hear him talking to her, and I feel like it's not a common name either.
Yeah, buddy.
Steve's back if anyone wanted to know.
Okay. Oh, Steve.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, how'd it go, guys?
It went so well. I'm really proud of it, and I think that you should just
Yeah,
already
Stillwater
give up.
Steve's already like throwing out old T-shirts because he's ready for that My Talk T-shirt.
Did you guys do 1 out of 3?
All right, Steve, here we go.
3 for 3, you pervert. Get out of my life.
Are you ready, Steve, to answer some questions
I
about
guess
TV
so.
shows about radio?
Yes.
All right, it goes a little something like this. News radio was on NBC from 95 to 99. It had an ensemble cast of some pretty big stars. Can you name an actor that had a role of an on-air talent on news radio?
Phil Hartman.
What sexy Minnesota native was a breakout star of WKRP in Cincinnati?
Blonde lady.
Yep. And what was the name of Frasier's producer on KACL in
Ross.
Seattle? Any thoughts on Blonde
I'd
Lady?
like you to just repeat it so I can have a shot.
What sexy Minnesota native was a breakout star of WKRP in Cincinnati?
Diane, Nancy, Belinda, Linda.
Paul Douglas. Okay.
I'm going to go Joe Souchere, final answer.
I did Paul Douglas.
Yeah. Brittany said Paul Douglas.
What's
You
her
said
name?
Joe-
Who is it? Let's start with that one.
Lonnie Anderson.
Lonnie Anderson. Son of a gun.
Yeah, I can't believe you
From
didn't know
Roseville,
that.
went to Ramsey.
Yeah, she did all those things.
Did you guys go 0 for 3?
Nope. That's the one. That's the one they got, actually. Stillwater Steve pulled that one out.
Oh, okay.
The first one, Steve did say Phil Hartman. I would have accepted John Lovitz, Andy Dick, Maura Tierney, or Candy Alexander.
Oh, I like Maura Tierney.
Yeah.
And then, funny, Joe Rogan was on that show.
That's all I could think of the whole time.
I know.
Over and over was
he
like,
was
he's
like
a
the
real radio
handyman.
star. Yeah, he was like dumb.
And if you ever would, it's just imagine, had you watched that show and somebody back in 1995 said, which member of this cast do you think will go on to have a net worth of like $500 million?
Yeah.
Who will sign a future deal for whatever it was with Spotify? Like, what was it, 100 million or something like that? And then he's the face of UFC. Just very bizarre.
Your confidence is so high, and I don't
He
like
might
it.
host Jeopardy!
Could. Maybe you will.
Oh, why are we not pushing for that?
Dirt alert, dirt alert, dirt alert.
He put
All
down
right.
chapstick
Well, Stillwater
after-
Steve wins
ready.
nothing. Steve, any final words? for
Wait,
Stillwater
what was our
Steve?
last one? We did it.
You got it right, Roz.
Roz.
It was Roz. What did you guys guess, Daphne?
I
I
couldn't.
think there was no answer.
I kept thinking I knew it was an unusual female name, and I couldn't get to it.
You know what, Rocco? If it's okay with you,
Yes.
I, as an olive branch of sorts, to my fellow Steve, even though he's always a total idiot and teams up with Donna, I would love to gift him the shirt. Take it right out of my account.
That's
I
not
don't
how
care.
it works.
Give it to Steve from
First
me.
off-
Sorry, Brittany didn't get it
God,
for you.
remind me of
Stevie boy got it for
you
you.
remind me of my husband. Your mood changes so much when you know you've won something. All of a sudden, you're posturing. You're putting on
Let him know.
chapstick. You're like handing out T-shirts that you don't even own.
Steve, on behalf of me, we're giving you a My Talk 1071 t-shirt. Congratulations.
I can't.
Wow, thank you, Steve. Next time it's you, buddy.
Bro, we are blood brothers till we die.
Yep. Male bonding.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
man.
It's starting to
Neat.
get toxic. Two
Yeah.
Steves.
All right.
Don't cross the Steves.
All right. Thank you.
Do you
Thank
guys want to get tipsy? Do we have time, or how are we feeling?
Well, why don't we just do the bonus question?
Oh, okay.
For fun. Steve, stay on the line.
Okay, Steve's there.
Everybody in the club getting tipsy.
All right, so I'm going to play. This is a song that mentions radio.
Okay.
I want to see if you can tell me who's singing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, right.
Goes like this.
Steve,
Steve,
in the Mystics.
who's the singer?
Oh, Van Morrison.
There you go. It's actually Caravan, but yeah. Same
Nice
album.
job, Steve.
Good job, Steve. I'm really sorry I failed
So
you.
he earned that T-shirt.
STILH2O.
Okay.
T-O-N-I-E-S.
That's good radio.
Go ponies!
All right. Thanks, Steve. Congratulations. You know what we'll do? Do you want to do Tipsy when we come back, or you just want to move on and just forget this whole segment?
I want to forget you.
Don't say that.
I'm ready to move on.
How about this?
What?
We've got some news about Chrissy Teigen that Britt Nene dug up today. And then a little something from Holly Madison regarding her life with Hugh Hefner. We'll get into that. When we come back, it's the Don and Steve Show on My Talk. Back, it's Don and Steve on My Talk 107.1, Everything Entertainment. It is a Friday edition, a stormy Friday. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just saying
stormy?
It's going to be tonight.
I can't see windows here.
I think that tonight should be a movie night for people. I'm going to suggest that my family cuddles up, gets a movie on. You got a storm outside. You got the booming sound system.
For you guys, is it find a new movie or watch an old movie kind of feel?
I think watch a new movie would be fun. There were a couple that we were deciding between a few weeks ago. You know, it might be nice. I mean, if I'm allowed to say it, I'll say it.
Say, I dare you.
Might be nice.
What?
To watch Jungle Cruise with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, my body double, and Emily Blunt. Very funny. Very just lovely.
Well, especially if it's going to be muggy and stormy and windy, it'll just add to the jungle.
Yes.
Yeah. And especially if you like watching movies that are based on an attraction that seem like should totally be made.
Hey.
Did you guys hear the Disney news this week about all their attractions and tickets and all that?
Well,
the Lightning Lane.
Now they have something called the Disney Genie. And a lot of people are not happy with it.
Yeah, it's just going to be even more expensive to go to Disney. And I will tell you this.
What?
When you spend all this money on the hotel and on the tickets to the park and all of that in the flight, and then they say, hey, it's going to be an extra whatever. Let's say $100 per person
you don't
per
care
day.
At that point, do you?
You got to understand, it's like playing poker. There's a point where you are what they call pot committed, which means you have bet multiple rounds after multiple rounds, and then you get the final card and you say, oh, that's not the card that I was looking for. But at that point, you're pot committed. It makes more sense to throw in one last bet than to fold because you got so much money in the pot already.
Is it like sunk cost or sunk cost
loss
I think
or something? Probably something like that.
Yeah. Well...
Anyway, from that, we go into the mind of Brittany, who has some stories about a couple of female celebrities, starting with Chrissy Teigen. What do we know?
Okay, so Amy Schumer had rented a home that Chrissy Teigen and John Legend had rented. And when long ago, when Legend and Teigen had rented this, it was during, it's a Martha Vineyard home. It was during Obama's birthday. And so what Chrissy Teigen did at the time was slowly walk down the staircase and sing happy birthday. And it was like one of those things where like at the time people loved it, but it was super weird if you had any like embarrassment bone in your body. So Amy Schumer was renting that same place and she decided to recreate this walking down the stairway, slowly singing birthday or happy birthday. But of course she was wearing an oversized tank that says boat hair, don't care. It was kind of a different vibe.
I would say so.
And what's funny is that she made it very clear she wasn't trying to troll her. They were saying that this is more of a tribute to Chrissy Teigen and tagged her.
That's funny.
It is funny. And also what Chrissy Teigen needs right now is something just fun, carefree.
Silly.
Social media needs to be for her just like, and this was, I think, because Amy Schumer is friends with her, is her kind of throwing her like a life raft, like, hey, here's something that's non-controversial. You can be in the headlines for not being terrible. So I think there was actually, and then she wrote something about like, I'm coming back for you, something silly like that. Like, oh, it's on is what Chrissy wrote in the comments.
Right.
So I think this is one of those times where Amy Schumer was doing her a big favor and trying to kind of change the narrative around
But if you're
her.
lazy and looking at it, you would think it was shade.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's definitely she's in, you can tell, in on the joke and is ready to joke around about things other than what she's actually going through.
Well, that's fun then. And it's funny too when you see the side by side, sort of like the not quite a TikTok duet. Yeah, that's right. I know some stuff about TikTok, Brittany. I've been dabbling on TikTok.
Are you on the TNT bra?
I'm on what?
Are you?
Is that the
TikTok?
like?
Nobody calls it that.
Nobody calls it that. I wish we could just.
I find TikTok to be very bizarre.
Really,
I guess. Can I block things?
Whoa, is that an attack?
No, I'm just saying. You just keep popping up at my feed, and it feels invasive. No, like, can I just block things that seem like, okay, I don't need that. Like, there's just some...
quickly swipe, and it'll start kind of honing in on your algorithm.
I just want to set my own parameters. There have just been a couple that are like, so vulgar, and I'm like,
cringy.
Oh Lord, I don't want to see this. Yeah, and I don't want to, like, that's not my jam, and I want to.
Oh, you guys, I got so into Bama Rush by accident, like.
Oh yeah, what's that all about?
So it's like sororities. You have to rush for your sorority, and they do like fit checks where they'll show you like, skirts Adidas, tops Adidas, shoes are Amazon, and they'll show you what they're doing for the rush. I got so involved in that to the point where I was like, no, like, where is Michelle? Who did she get bids for? And I didn't think, if I would have trusted my own self, I would have said, of course I don't like that. But TikTok knows me better. They're like, no, you're gonna get involved in this. So just trust the algorithm. Just go with it.
I don't want to trust
You
it.
got to give it some time, though. And if you don't like something, just swipe away quickly so it knows that, like, I'm not that into it. Okay. Speaking of something you're probably not that into, but I am.
Yes.
Did you watch Girls Next Door? Was that something on your radar?
I know of the show on E! About like the Playboy bunnies. It wasn't my jam, but I know of the show that you're talking about.
Yeah, it was Holly, Bridget, and Kendra.
Were they all married to Hef?
Nobody was married. They're all
married to Hef?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holly was like the main girlfriend who slept in the room with Hugh. And Bridget and Kendra had their own bedrooms and were like, and Kendra was the one you could tell just wasn't that into the relationship, but really loved living there.
Okay.
But anyways, I digress. Holly Madison is actually speaking out a bunch lately because they've released a trailer for a show called The Secrets of Playboy. It's going to be a 10-part documentary series exploring the world of late Playboy founder Hugh Hefner. This show is set to premiere in early 2022. It'll have interviews of many of the girlfriends. And lately, so Holly actually has been very vocal on TikTok and kind of talking more and more about what her life was like. She talks about how she's so thankful she didn't get pregnant while there because at the time she'd wanted to with Hugh. She was obsessed with him.
Oh, man.
And it's come out to say where she's even saying that I didn't realize that getting into the Playboy world was a dangerous choice because she's saying it actually felt safe at the time. And she looks back and there were just so many things that it brought her down, like drugs, alcohol, that fun stuff.
Oh, geez, Louise.
So as somebody who I could watch Girls Next Door to this day for hours and hours and hours because it's just enthralling to me.
Yeah.
This is something I definitely am going to watch.
I feel like I saw parts of that show before. Do I remember a lot of dark wood on the inside? Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like an old steakhouse. Like it's like you can tell that you're like, are you guys cleaning all this? You kind of don't feel like all the thick velvet curtains get cleaned all the time.
Yeah, right.
I think Lori's been to the Playboy Mansion.
What?
Inside of it?
Pretty sure.
Would you swim in the grotto? Everyone, I'll go first. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the power of the chemical bromine and
We
chlorine.
can get penicillin or something and clean all that up.
I'd like the aesthetic that dark wood really like heavy is how the inside of that feels. I'd love for Chip and Joe to go in there and do a little fixer upper on the mansion and just say, let's get some bright whites in here.
Yeah.
Let's clean this space up. You want a dark wood? Let's do a dark wood beam across the ceiling. That'd be fun to see.
I'd even as small as just watching somebody shake out like linen there. I'd watch that. Like,
what's happening to it now? Hugh Hefner died. Do people still live there? Did someone purchase it? Didn't somebody buy it?
I think somebody did buy it. I know that they were talking about, they sectioned off some of the property because it is so much property. And I know that they sectioned some of that off and sold it, but I don't know who owns the Playboy Mansion right now.
It's sold for $100 million.
Which is so surprising because I would imagine
Darren Metropoulos. By the way, sorry.
Does he have any connection to Hugh, or is he just a human man living his life, buying things?
He was ranked number 875 on the Forbes 2020 list of billionaires.
Why even in the list if you're in that low on it?
2.6 billion. Yeah, it's like embarrassing.
800? Yeah. That's what?
Number 875.
How long does this list even go?
So there's 874 other billionaires that are in front of you on the list?
Gross.
How many are even behind? Are you the end?
Are you
the last on the list?
Am I on that list?
What number am I? Anyway, Darren Metropoulos purchased it.
Now he's not on the list.
You ever drive around Hollywood? Like
No.
the Hollywood Hills,
No,
Beverly Hills?
I've been there, but I don't know.
It is interesting when some of these places, if you live in Minnesota, they seem like fictional places. And then there's a real town where there's the Playboy Mansion. That's Britney Spears' house. That's where the Osbournes live.
How far away is the Playboy Mansion from LAX? Go.
My guess would be probably about 20 miles, probably.
Hey, guess what?
What?
In the Dirt Alert, I'm going to tell you about somebody that just purchased an estate in the LA area.
Here we go.
And it's somebody famous.
Oh, all right, great. Well, we'll get into that. We got a Dirt Alert coming your way, courtesy of Rocco. Also, Selena Gomez, why she's still not on social media. We'll get into that next.